Hello everybody and welcome back to Bouncing Back with Brighton. In today's episode we will review our summer transfer activity. We will also play our opening game away from home against Everton. So it has been a reasonably busy summer. We have made quite a few changes to the first team squad, and I will of course show you how we plan to set up this season going forward based on the players that we've brought in and based on the players that we have let go. And that's where we'll start. Victor has left the club. He's joined Fulham for £10.5 million, a flat fee. He's just very unlikely to get game time this season due to the signings we've made. He was never really in my first team plans to begin with. So to get £10.5 million for him for a player who would have been third or fourth choice striker, I think is a decent bit of business to recuperate some of the costs that we've spent. Jan Mulcair found himself in pretty much the exact same situation as Victor. He has joined Hull. Was that £5.25 million. He did okay for us in the Championship, scored 6 goals in 19 games, 14 of which were starts, but he was never really the one who was going to make the step up, so he has left to join Hull. Anders Drees joined EAB for £625,000. Gregor Sorkam was our backup goalkeeper, who has now been replaced by somebody who had returned from loan in the under-23s, who was English. So I thought I'd get him into the squad because he'll count towards registration rather than him. So he's joined Sunderland for £400,000. We have let a few players go on frees. Alice Mathieu was a Czech right-back. He's actually, to be honest, if we didn't have that many right-backs, he probably would have been good enough for us in the Championship, but definitely not in the Premier League. Stephen Alzadier, I didn't even know who this guy is, to be honest with you. He's left. Jason Steels went on loan. Mike Lacey, our key man who I'm looking to force into the first team squad, I've decided to let him go on loan to Portsmouth in League One. I kind of wanted to keep him around until he was Championship level and then look to loan him out, but Portsmouth have got good facilities and they are one of the best teams in the League One, so I would expect that he's going to get some good game time there. He is listed as a first team option, so we'll have to bear that in mind going forward. And Max Sanders, he's just a 21-year-old English lad who's went on loan to Rotherham. So that brings us to the ins. A couple of loan signings who basically are signed to pad out the squad a little. Harry Wilson on loan from Liverpool. He will be backup / competing with Anthony Knockaert on that right-hand side. And I think he'll be a handy little player. He is listed as a rotation player, so hopefully he won't mind not starting every game. But to be honest with you, if he was actually a player who I had signed, I probably would start him above Knockaert. But as he's a loan player, he will be playing second fiddle. The second loan player we brought in was Hamza Chowdhury from Leicester City. He will be back up to Tudor Baluta in that defensive midfield role. He can also fit in that centre midfield role should he be needed. He's not necessarily the Metzala that you would want, but he can play that position quite well. So if he's needed, he can do it. Another English lad, 2 British lads coming in there to see if we can meet the registrations. Sergio Reguilón from Real Madrid. Now, this is a signing I didn't expect to make. I thought for sure I was going to sign Josh Tymon for our left-back role this season. We did have an offer, I think it was £11.5 million accepted by Stoke City, but he'd only just recently signed a new contract, so he wasn't willing to enter contract negotiations with us. So we've signed this guy on a free transfer. He looks absolutely fantastic. He's the highest owner at the club now on £60,000 per week. But as a free transfer goes, I think this is as good as it gets, and he will be the best left back at the club without a shadow of a doubt, and no worries in terms of how good he will be for us. The regens have started early this year, boys. Alan Romoli from Newell's for £5.5 million, a striker. He looks absolutely fantastic to me. He will probably be our starting striker for this season, getting in ahead of Dejan Joveljic, who had a disappointing campaign in the Championship. So them two will be competing for the first team spots. You might notice his wages are quite a lot of money, but I did have to beat off interest from Paris Saint-Germain to secure his signature. So that was something I was more than happy to do. I'll show you the finances and stuff once we've got through all the transfers. We are very, very healthy. So he came in for £5.5 million. Roberto Alvarado from Cruz Azul, a Mexican left winger who will be taking that first team spot away from Jose Izquierdo. He is a winger. He's not an inside forward, so we will be playing him as a winger on that left-hand side. I'm hoping having a more creative outlet on the left-hand side rather than the more attack and intended inside forward might bring out the best of our striker. So that was the thinking behind signing a winger rather than an inside forward. 3.5 star current, 4.5 star potential, so he can still grow. And at £5.5 million on 36 grand a week, he is a bit of a bargain for a Premier League side. Ryan Gravenberch. Now, I have never ever managed Ryan on FM, and obviously he's a massive wonder kid on this year's game, so I really wanted to try him. We had a fee agreed with Sandro Tonali to be our Metzola in the centre of midfield, and he would have been a better option, hands down he would have been. But I really wanted to give this guy a goal. He's not ideally suited to a Metzola purely down to his poor tackling, but I do like his attacking intent, and obviously he can play in that attacking midfield role should we find he's a little bit too weak in that centre midfield role. But I am going to be starting him. He will be our starting centre midfield Metzola, and hopefully we can get the best from him. And at £8.5 million, he is another one who I think is a bit of a steal. And the most expensive player for us was Edson Alvarez from America. He is a centre-back, Mexican. He's already got 16 Mexican caps to his name. A ball-playing defender, which is what I was looking for to partner with John Sutar in at centre-back. He's incredibly well-rounded physically, mentally, and technically. He should be a very, very good player for us. He was a 4-star, 4.5-star player when I signed him, according to my scouts. Decent player for most Premier League sides, but could improve. So I am happy with that business. So in terms of the first 11 going forward, this is how I picture it in terms of just raw attributes, not form. Jack Butland in goal. Bogle is probably the weakest area of our squad now at right back, but Martin Montoya is currently injured for 2 to 6 weeks. So it'll be, Montoya is the better right back. He just is. But Bogle being English and with plenty of potential still to grow, I want to give him the game time there. But it might be an area I readdress in the January transfer window. Sutar and Alvarez at centre-back. Rajulion at left-back. Tudor Baluta as our defensive midfielder. Gravenberch as our centre midfielder. Anthony Notyat and Alvarado on the wings, with McAllister in behind, Ramoli up top. Now, in terms of our finances, that leaves us sitting with £82 million in the bank. £26 million remaining in the transfer kitty, with I think £400,000 available in the wage budget as well. So we are not spending a lot of money for a Premier League side. Staffing have been completely revamped. I think pretty much every one of my staff members contracts were running out this season, so I just decided to let them all go. Well, pretty much everybody go, apart from the ones who are actually good, and we've completely revamped it. And despite only having 7 first-team coaches, we're doing incredibly well in terms of training, coaching team comparisons alongside other teams in the league. We're still struggling a little bit with scouting, but I'm happy with the scouts I've managed to bring in. The same with the physios as well. So it's been a complete overhaul. It's took me ages to get through the summer transfer window. So that is going to bring us on to the first game of the season, which, as I said earlier, is away from home against Everton. Gravenberch is still on international duty, so he won't be starting today. We'll have a look at the team and see. I do fancy Jack Grealish in the centre of midfield. He had a lot of interest over the summer from various clubs in the Premier League, but purely down to him being English, I didn't really want to let him go, unless it was for ridiculous money, which ridiculous money didn't really come, so we're going to keep things as they are. So this is going to be the starting lineup. The only changes are Jack Grealish in the centre of midfield position. So let's face Everton. So Everton line up with the 4-2-1-3 defensive midfielder formation, Mitrovic up front. So they've signed him from Fulham. I believe Fulham got relegated this season. Oh, the season just gone by, so that might be one of their signings. Sigurdsson, Quincy Promes, who is a decent winger on this game. Not great technically, though. I thought he was a bit better than that. Tom Davies is always fantastic. Victor Wanyama. Mo Besic was available in the Championship, so I'm surprised he's getting game time for them there. Kenny, Mina, Moore. Is that Redden Moore? Liam Moore? Redden? Yeah, must be a new signing for Everton. Jordan Pickford in goal and Lucas Digne in at left back. So we're going to stick with the formation and tactic that we played in the Championship last season. It is incredibly attacking for a team of our stature, really. So maybe it's something that we shouldn't really be playing. But I always go with the philosophy that if you sit back, you just end up going to get picked off by the better team. So I'm just going to go for it this season, and we'll see how the season fares at that point. In terms of the minimum expectations from the board, highlight from Notyat. Oh, what a save by Pickford, and what a challenge that is by Wanyama. Thought Notyat was going to open his account very early on there, 5 minutes in, with the free kick. We'll stick with this corner just in case anything comes of it. Nothing came of it. So as I was saying, minimum board expectations are mid-table finish. Alvarado gets his opening goal in his debut, and assist by John Souttar, but it was a free kick by Anthony Knockaert to get the ball into the box and give us that opportunity to go 1-0 up inside 8 minutes. A great free kick by Knockaert. Souttar heads it down, and Alvarado puts it in with his weaker foot, making it 1-0 away from home against Everton. But yeah, I was surprised that the minimum board expectations was mid-table finish. I would have probably accepted avoiding relegation as the minimum board expectation, but I do think we've got more than enough quality to finish mid-table. As we'll pick up with another highlight here, Jack Grealish to Baluta on the edge, McAllister, Knockaert in 8 acres of space, he takes a strike on. I think Jordan Pickford probably had that covered anyway. An absolutely excellent first half an hour introduction back to the Premier League after we got relegated with Brighton. But we've had a storming season last season, and it looks like the form is continuing. No shots at all for Everton. We are ruling them out. And this is why I don't like playing more conservatively, because if you play attacking wise, you're just not going to give you the opposition opportunities to begin with. And with the sort of defenders we've got pacey, physical defenders who are also good on the ball, so it matches our play style beautifully. Tudor Baluta, Bogle on the edge, he hits the post. Our right back taking strikes from 20 yards out. We can't complain with that. Unfortunately, he could not get this one on target. Disappointing opening game for our new striker. We will look to get him off for Dejan Joveljic. In terms of anyone else, McAllister's not playing particularly well, but we're going to keep him on the pitch for now. We'll see who's struggling in terms of fitness. Jack Grealish could probably come off. We will get Chowdhury on in his place. We are going to have to try and keep him and Harry Wilson happy in terms of game time. They both expect a rotation basis, so I'll have to bear that in mind going forward. I am somebody who likes to stick with the same first 11 if at all possible, but I'm going to have to be wary of that. 9 minutes to go in the game, and it looks like it could be Everton's first attack and highlight of the game. Quincy Promes coming down the right hand side, sends through Sandro, and that is just typical, isn't it? 8 minutes to go. Everton get the equaliser, the first opportunity they've had in this game, and it was all a little bit too easy. Quincy Promes completely, like nobody closing him down whatsoever. We do play a high pressing style, but nobody was doing it there, and Jack Butland gets completely wrong footed at his near post, and it would go to 1-1. 1-1 is not that bad, really, if we think, oh, hold on, before we talk about that. Knockaert with a free kick. Knockaert, man, I always get excited when he steps up. But 1-1 away from home against Everton in our first game back is nothing to sneeze at. Virgilio can come off for Alex Martinez, a left back to save his tired leg. Oh, I've just cancelled the substitution, man. Come on, Sam. Get with the game. I think that's going to be it for today's match. 1.5 minutes to go. Knockaert with another free kick. It's cleared. Alvarez, what a save by Pickford. Pickford has had a fantastic game for Everton between the sticks, and he's definitely kept them in it. Only 10 seconds remain. Baluta's in the box. He's hit the post. Kenny with a tackle. Corner. Oh, we deserve to win this match at least 3 or 4-1, but it doesn't look like it's going to be likely unless we can make something from this corner. Knockaert to play it in. He's taking his sweet time of it. Are we going to win that header or not? It's going to be cleared. And that is going to be all she wrote for today's game. Everton 1, Brighton 1. We were robbed. I'm glad Alvarado got his first goal in his debut. That's a good sign. I'm happy with the way the team played in general. So it's just one of them things, you know. It's going to happen to us. We've seen it happen time and time again, particularly when we were in the Premier League. You know, late goals seem to be my forte in conceding. So we've got to expect it. In terms of just a few other bits and bobs in the January transfer window, Jack Butland had offers from pretty much everybody in the Premier League. Thankfully, he never once kicked up a fuss, so he has not left the club. As I mentioned, Jack Grealish as well had offers from all over the place, and he didn't kick up a fuss either when I was rejecting them out of hand, because they were only offering like 10 or 13 million pounds. It was just a little bit silly. So in terms of when we are going to come back, I think we might come back with the Tottenham and no, maybe I would like to play West Ham at home. They knocked us out of the FA Cup last season, so West Ham and Spurs I think are going to be when we return. But anyway, if you have enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like, and if you are enjoying my content, get yourself subscribed. But until next time, take it easy.